Hello, a warm welcome to you in the Ghatna Chakra book video. Let's begin this journey where we will present every topic in a simple, clear, and exam-oriented manner.
You ever look at a single sentence and wonder, could that one line change the world? Well, today, we're going to find out. We are taking one seemingly simple historical fact, and we're going to crack it wide open to see the massive story that's hiding inside.
All right, here it is. This is our source material for today's explainer. The institution of High Court in India was first established in 1862 AD. Now, at first glance, that sounds, well, pretty dry, right? Kind of like something you just skim over in a textbook. But what if I told you that every single word in that sentence is actually a clue pointing to a huge moment in history? The real story, you see, isn't just what it says, it's what it implies. So, what is really packed inside this thing? Okay, let's dive into this. We are going to break this sentence down piece by piece, and we're going to start with the anchor of the whole statement, that date.
All right, Section 1, a pivotal year. Look, before we can even get into what was created, we've got to understand when it all happened. This date, it's so much more than just a number. It is literally the foundation for everything else we're going to talk about.
1862. Just let that sink in for a second. Our source material isn't just suggesting this year, it's planting a flag. It's saying, this is it. This is the definitive marker. It's the year everything changes. You can almost think of it as a historical year zero for the whole system we're about to unpack. So what this tells us is that our source isn't being wishy-washy at all. It's making a really powerful claim. It's saying 1862 is the starting point, period. It's like it's drawing a line in the sand, right? Separating everything that came before from the completely new reality that started in that one single year.
Okay, so we've got the when. That's sorted. But what about the what? I mean, what exactly was created in 1862 that was such a big deal? Let's move on to the next piece of this puzzle.
Now listen to this, because this is super important. The source doesn't say a court was built. It says the institution of High Court. That one word, it changes everything. We're not talking about a single building with a judge inside. No. We're talking about the birth of an entire legal system, a whole new framework for how justice works in India. And then you had this other critical word, first. This one little word confirms everything we just figured out. It's telling us that this specific kind of judicial setup, this whole institution, it had never ever existed in India before 1862. This was the moment it all began. Its genesis. Okay, so let's recap. We have the when, 1862, and we have the what, the creation of a whole new legal system. Now, let's see what happens when we bring in a second, more specific piece of information, because this, my friends, is where it all clicks into place.
Okay, now what's really interesting here is how these two pieces just snap together perfectly. On the one hand, our first source gives us this big general rule. The High Court system was first established in 1862. Then, on the other hand, a different source gives us a very specific fact. The Madras High Court was established. And what's the key? Well, just look at the date. They both point to the exact same year. Wild, right?
It's a perfect match. The first statement, that's our theory, right? A new system was born in 1862. The second statement, that's our proof. Here's one of those exact courts founded in that exact same year. That's no coincidence, people. That is confirmation. The specific example proves the general rule is true, and together they create this rock-solid piece of historical evidence.
So we've spent all this time breaking the sentence down into its tiny parts. But what have we actually built by putting it all back together? Let's zoom out for a second and take a look at the bigger picture, the real legacy of this one sentence. You know, if you look strictly at the sources we have, 1862 isn't just another year. It's more like a historical wall. Our information gives us zero clues about the legal world before it, and it tells us nothing about what happened after. All we know for sure is that on this timeline, 1862 is this bright, shining point of origin. It is, quite literally, the year everything changed. So, what's the takeaway here? What did we actually learn? Well, we learned that a single date can totally define an era. We learned that one sentence can state a general rule, and another one can come along and prove it with a real-world example. But I think the most important thing is this. We learned that when you put these simple little pieces together, you end up creating something that's way more powerful than any of them were on their own.
And that leaves you with a final thought, doesn't it? If we could pull a story this big out of just one single sentence, well,
What other secrets are just waiting for you, hiding in plain sight, in the very next thing you read?